Hey everyone, little Tuesday night video. Yet another major storm coming in. We've just had storm after storm after storm here. I think it's 42 Celsius out right now. Thought I'd go out to the shop calm before the storm and just kind of show you guys what I'm working on. It's in the mood to make a video, so hold on a second, we'll go to the shop. Okay, just wanted to do, I don't know, just in the mood to upload a video. I get that way sometimes. Been working on this all week, F3060 Kubota. Love this mower. It's just been a great thing to have around here. I got about 6 or 7 acres. Blew a hydraulic hose a week ago, and yeah, finally got the right hose today, which was a little bit of a battle. Long story. I went to the dealer to get a hose. I needed other parts, so. But yeah, been working on that all week, and I'll probably get up early tomorrow before it gets too hot and button it up. Maybe I'll do a mowing video if any of you guys are interested in that. This is an absolutely awesome machine. A little shop talk here. First off, coming down the pipeline, this is actually what I'm building right now. I had to use that's a homemade timing wheel that I made. The first how many saws I ported, I did with this one. It's just laminated. You can print these online. So for any of you that don't have a timing wheel, just print one and laminate it, and there you go, you have a timing wheel. It works just fine. It's just a piece of cardboard with this taped on it. The numbers don't matter, right? Like, they matter, but the saw ain't gonna know whether you timed it with this or with a $25 one. So this is a 281 with a 288 highway cylinder. This is a build for a good buddy of mine. He's the guy that taught me a lot of the mechanics that I know when it comes to saws. He used to be a Husqvarna mechanic in the 90s. Really good guy. I cut wood with him, and he's kind of the reason that I started doing saws. So he dropped this off to me 2 weekends ago and said, do whatever you want with it. So I'm probably going to make this thing pretty warm. He was going to mill with it, but he changed his mind. So we got a 288 highway top end cylinder, meteor piston. I did a lot of work to the lower transfers this weekend. Not quite done. I'm going to clean them up a little bit more and then rough them up. I did quite a bit of my grinding with a sanding drum this time because I really want to shape these exactly the same. And when you cut that much material off, hold on, I'm just going to get here. When you cut that much material off, you really got to measure things and check and make sure they're similar. I might even CC these because I've removed so much material. So I've got my start on this. I'm going to do a complete build series on this. The only thing is, this is all I have of the saw. So I'm probably just going to port this and give it back to him. I will borrow this saw once it's broken in and make a video of it running. So if you hold on for the whole series and you don't see it running, don't be upset. This is all I have of the saw, literally. So 288 on 1987, just a good classic big bore Husqvarna. So anyhow, I'm going to put this back under the bench. Cover this up. The reason for this video today, I didn't touch on this in my build series of the bottom end. So this is a 461. It's a 2017, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but 2017. It has no hours on it. Somebody asked me, how did you get that saw? I bought this saw from an auction. This was a local fleet saw, local government. They blew up the saw because the the PTO side, like chain side bearing, was gone. So I bid and I got it. It wasn't expensive, so I really didn't care. I figured it's either a good saw or a parts saw. That's why I always say to people, and I've said it on my channel a bazillion times, don't pay too much for blown up saws, because sometimes they're garbage, you know, and other times they're like this, like literally a set of bearings and what I thought was a perfect top end, and away you go. My rant about stihl. I do like stihl. I run stihls. I only ran stihls for multiple years. So don't, if you run stihls, I like stihls. This isn't a stihl rant more than a modern manufacturing rant. This saw was scrapped because it needed a PTO side bearing. Now, most shops in my area, and probably in most areas, don't do bottom end work. Most saws I buy need a bottom end done. You saw in my video, I literally edited 20 minutes out of that video, just me farting around, looking for things, grabbing things. That's how long it takes to do a bottom end. When I went to Stihl to get bearings, I called 3 dealers. They're all like, the flywheel side bearing is not available. I was like, what do you mean it's not available? Like, I thought they were messing with me. They're like, it's not available. I'm like, so you can't get a bearing, a flywheel side bearing for a 461. They're like, you can, but you have to buy a case half for $350 and change. So, I know why I got this saw, and I got it cheap. Whoever owned this, the local government owned this, they took it to a shop, which isn't a Stihl dealer. I'm not going to use any names. I deal with that shop. They're really good guys there. I buy a lot of parts from there. They, not being a Stihl dealer, they called a Stihl dealer, probably the same one I called, and that dealer told them, and I mean, at $100 labor per hour, I don't know how many hours you'd charge to build a saw, but let's say 5 hours. Well, that's $500 in labor. $500 in labor, plus any top end work, plus the parts. I mean, this thing's good for scrap, right? So, I wasn't sure why I got this at first, like what's wrong with it, but that's a 6202C3, the same 6202C3 that has been in that side of big stills or medium-sized stills for years, or all the 200 series Husqvarnas, 372s. So when I split this, I can't see the bearing. When I split this, I was wondering, you know, did I just spend a bunch of money on parts that I don't need? Well, I knew that those bearings would fit in a 440 or whatever, so I knew I'd use them. But so if you have a 461 and your Stihl dealer tells you you can't get bearings, you can buy this side bearing, and that side's a 6202C3. $4.55 or something I pay for those. So just a little rant. I don't understand. Like, I get it. They'll sell you a brand new saw instead of fixing this, but anyhow, next up on the list. So most people say check compression, pull it over and make sure it thumps when you're buying a saw, right? Look through the exhaust port and look for scoring. So let's see if we're focused here. Sorry, I got the camera up high. Are we focused? Look how shiny that piston is. Okay? Minty. There's not a scratch on it. Which side's the exhaust side? This is the exhaust side. Okay? I want you to look at this. Listen. So if you look through this exhaust port, you're like, wow, that's clean. But it's not. This thing's completely worn out. This piston has like 5-6 thousandths too much slop. Like, if you put this saw together like this, she would rattle bad. I'm actually surprised, and you can see it. It's starting to wear here and here. Because that piston was starting to rock enough that she's starting to scrub. Okay? And what usually happens, I see this on stills quite a bit, 200T, stuff like that, you'll actually break the piston skirt on the intake side, because that's the side that takes a lot of the brunt. But you can also see on the bottom, it's shiny, and right here, and right here. So just something to be aware of. When I got this saw, I just figured I was putting bearings in it. I wasn't sure if this top end was any good. So let me grab the piston here. I don't know where the piston is. Do you guys ever just like lose things in your shop? Oh, I certainly do. I don't know where the piston is. Well, heck of a saw builder, can't find his own piston. Oh, right here. I'm not even going to edit that out because it's funny. I'm sure you guys have similar issues. So, brand new Meteor piston. I'm going to say right away, there are differences in the Meteor piston. The OEM has way more flashing and seams in the transfers, in the windows. Like you can see there's a lip here. I would smooth that if I was building this saw with this piston. And also, the Meteor has less material underneath here. So I'm by feel, this Meteor piston's actually lighter. So I want to show you something. So I wasn't sure if this cylinder was good or not. Okay, there's like no slop. Okay, versus that. I like to make sure it goes in the same way it came out. So this cylinder's good. Now, one trick I did is this. There shouldn't be much wear on the sides or anywhere if you have a worn cylinder. And sometimes they do wear here and here. And they will slop. Okay, this is an easy thing to do. You put it sideways. Well, you know it's probably the piston because there's like almost no contact. But the funny thing is, these rings have almost no wear. That literally has the gap of a brand new ring. Okay, like no gap. So this saw has no time on it. I have a feeling that by the amount of carbon in here, there's like a ton. I know this saw is run on still oil. I find still tends to be a little heavy on the ash. Especially, and I think this is why I see a lot of carboned up stills. There's a lot more stills here than anything else. I think a lot of people that own stills don't warm their saws up. And I have a feeling that this saw was never warmed up. Never got hot enough to burn the ash out of anything, if you get what I'm saying. And I have a feeling that this saw was never warmed up, which is why it's so carboned. But what I can't figure out is why is this piston so smooth, but yet so worn out. You could see the marks, discoloration. The intake side of the piston is super thin already. Like super thin. Like it's probably worn in half. So, and it's very smooth. So this piston was doing this in the cylinder. So I don't want to ramble on too long like I tend to do. Hope everybody's having a great week, and I hope everybody kind of learned something from this video. Just trying, like I said, when I find something interesting in my shop, I will try and put it on film, and then once it's on YouTube, it's out there, and hopefully it can help somebody. So I am going to port this. I haven't decided where I'm going with it yet. I like to time a saw and then ponder the numbers for a little bit before I don't just get into a saw and start grinding it. I look at the transfer shape. You notice these have a strange little cutout here. It looks like a mistake, but it's not. What I'm trying to figure out is that from the centrifugal rotation? They know that the air tends to hang on this side, and that's why that side's smaller. I can't figure it out. But these transfers are not symmetrical going down, which makes me a little bit nervous grinding. Not nervous, but I'm questioning what I'm going to do in this area. I plan to hog this right out and taper it more to create pressure. I haven't timed this yet, but the uppers could use some cleanup. They are shaped and pointed in the direction that I would like, so I don't see a lot of problems with the upper transfers. Intake, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might do another Mickey Mouse intake like I did on that 440. That 440 is an absolute animal. And the timing numbers, by timing numbers, it's nothing special, but I guess that saw runs good. It's very strong. So its new owner is very happy with it. He sent me some video of it pulling. I've seen it pull various size bars, so I'm happy with it. So I'm gonna experiment a little bit more with that intake shape, and you got to prove out your theories, guys. So, anyways, that's what I'm up to for right now. I got a couple more saws in the queue that we will be working on. I'm going to try and get my buddy's 288 knocked out of the park. I'll probably finish porting this on the weekend when it's a little bit cooler. Not going to do a ton to this timing wise, because the numbers of this stock cylinder with no base gasket are actually pretty good. So I'll do a little bit of intake work, a little bit of exhaust work, and a little bit of upper transfer work. Squish is exactly where I like it on a saw like this. So there's really not much to do. I would buy a Meteor cylinder in a heartbeat. This is the first one that's ever been on my bench, and it's quality. The plating's thick. It grinds nice. The ports are good. Exhaust port is a little big for my liking, but it is what it is, right? So anyhow, stay tuned. As always, I appreciate my subscribers. It's just a good time talking with a lot of you guys. You know, it's fun. I learn a lot. You know, I learn a lot by talking to other people, and it's always a pleasure to do so. So, as always, thanks for watching. Take her easy. Sorry it's hot and I'm a little slow today. Take her easy.